There was a massive list in the patch notes going over all of the new changes to the open wheel races, but Rockstar actually forgot to mention one thing that changes everything regarding these new F1 cars. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over that particular major change that they did, as well as everything else that was changed. So taking a look, just reading through the patch notes on all of the open wheel stuff, they added a bunch of stuff to the pit. You can actually change tires now. I'll show that. And a bunch of other just nice quality of life changes. The vehicle damage, it actually has a little icon at the bottom left and it shows your vehicle. And again, another great quality of life change. Griefing. Oh my God, this was why everyone stopped playing open wheel races before, because people could drive backwards and ruin the whole thing. They finally fixed it. So if you don't collect a checkpoint within 12 seconds, or if you're just going the wrong way, you will instantly be made into passive mode or ghost mode, and you can't affect anyone. In addition to some other stuff, they also did add a new start countdown. So those were all the noted changes, but the one big thing that they changed, or fixed, I should say, is the fact that the options, the customization options you put on your car actually matter now in races. Now, if you're not a hardcore F1 guy, you might not have even known this was a thing, but the spoiler options on all of these F1 cars and the front wing options on all of these F1 cars affect the top speed and the traction. Before this update, though, that was only affected in free mode. When you went into a race, it did not matter. So everyone pretty much had a very similar car. Now, all of those options do matter, and that completely changes the way you think about the F1 and the open wheel races. Now, there's actually an element of strategy to it, because you have to take into account the actual race and then base your customization options off of what you're gonna be driving on. I'll explain that more in a minute, but let's go ahead and just take a quick look at the two new cars. We have the DR1 and we have the BR8. I am in the BR8 in this first clip, and I think me and my friend here have everything maxed out, like with the best options, quote unquote. And you can see that the DR1, the cheaper of the two, by the way, actually finishes significantly faster. But don't be discouraged by that, because the way these vehicles work, honestly, they're all the same. I mean, I'm sure there's some differences, but there's so many different options and variables that go into these that you can't ever really do a head-to-head test. I just wanted to show that to sort of explain and demonstrate the vast differences between the different options. This next clip here is me in the PR4, which is one of the older F1 cars, my friend still in the DR1. And just to demonstrate the differences again, in this first clip, I beat my friend fairly easily. We're gonna switch clips though, and now, same vehicles, I didn't change anything on my car. My friend, he did though. He put all the top speed options on, and sure enough, he ends up beating me. So that's just the differences that you can get with the customization options on this car. Now, if you haven't been following the F1 stuff, let's explain. You may want to save this video or like take a screenshot of these things, because these pictures I'm about to show are going to help you tremendously. These were made by GTA Forums user Gaffa, and we're going to start with the older vehicles first, just to give you guys an explanation of what all this means. The bottom left, basically, he's explaining higher numbers equals less speed, more traction. That's basically what this boils down to. So you can see the front bumper option, or like the front wing option, and then the spoiler option. You are going to want to add these two numbers up. The higher it is, the more traction you will get. The lower it is, the more speed you will get. But do just note, the more speed you get, the less traction. You'll spin out a lot more. The more traction, notes, you get significantly less speed. So there is some tweaking that you're going to have to go through. And the only unfortunate part is, buying these options. It's not like it stays bought forever. You have to constantly rebuy all of these options. So you might just want to start with like a middle number, but that's basically what these numbers mean. So, you can just see the low front wing. If you put that on, you're going to get the fastest speed. And if you combine that with the shortened wing on the spoiler on the right, that's the fastest you can make this go. But again, it's going to have no traction. So that's the PR4. That's an older vehicle. Again, if you want to save this, you can be my guest. Then we have the Ocelot R88, another older vehicle. Different numbers, but the same stuff applies. So if you really want a fast R88, you're going to put no wing on, because that's a 0.5, which means it's going to have incredible top speed. Just good luck trying to make a corner. Now, moving into the newer vehicles, we're going to take a look at the DR1 first, the cheaper of the two vehicles. And these are the numbers we get. So you can see the stock for both spoiler and front wing is 1. So that's a total number of 2. That's kind of in the middle for this. You can see if you actually want the fastest, you're going to go with the lightweight front wing and actually the lightweight wing for the spoiler. That's going to give you a 1.1 total downforce. However, you can make this thing insanely good at sticking to the ground if you put on the quad angled fins and the lifted box wing. That's going to give you a massive 3.5 downforce amount, which means you're not ever going to move. And then we're going to take a look at the BR8. Now this one, you can see just the vast differences in all of these. Even the max on this one, you don't get anywhere near that 3.5. This one is 1.35 plus 1.25, which is only a 2.6 value. And this one, you can't even get as fast as the DR1, because the lowest you could get in that regard is 0.85 plus 0.8, which is like what, 0.65, I think? 1.65, sorry. So that's why in some cases the DR1 will blow out this car, but in other cases it won't. There's a lot of playing with all of these different options to find the car you want. And it is going to depend completely on the track, because we're going to go ahead and actually first we're going to go into free mode again. And just to demonstrate what I just explained, we're going to go ahead and put on the lightweight front wing and the lightweight spoiler. So in this case, we should have the fastest DR1. We're going to go to LSC. Taking a look at the speedometer, we hit speeds of about 121. And it stays in that ballpark pretty much on the entire strip here. We're going to bring this back to LSC. This time we're going to max out the traction. So we're going to go ahead and put on, I think it's the quad angled fins and the lifted box wing for the spoiler. And we're going to do the same test, and look how much of a difference from top to bottom basically you get. This, we only get to about 108 top speed. However, just take a look at this traction. I am holding the right trigger the entire time, not holding down brake or anything, and we are like glue to the ground. So that's just the differences between all of this. And it's unfortunate Rockstar don't really explain any of this. You may have noticed when we're in the LSC that the traction values and the speed values do change, but only a little bit and only on some of them, and it doesn't really tell you the full picture. Now we're going to take this into a race, and this is what was changed in this update. They actually fixed all of those options not working. So this first clip, taking a look at the speedometer at the bottom, we have that max traction set up on, and we only hit about 102, 103 on this first little straightaway, and then there's a second straightaway coming up, and we hit about 108, I believe, if we take a look back at the speedometer. That's about the fastest speed, and that's at the very end. We're going to do what we just did, go to LSC, put on the lightweight options, and now on the same strip, the first one, we hit about 111, 112. And that's not even that long of a strip. And then on the second strip, which is a little bit longer, it may be a little hard to see, sorry about that, but we hit about 115, 116. So 10 miles an hour of a difference just between the two. But as you saw, I did crash because traction is very lacking. So that's where taking into account the track you're going to be racing on comes into play. If you're going to be playing on a track that has a bunch of corners and turns, go with more traction. If it's more of a straightaway, go with the speed. So it's really cool that this was implemented finally into the races. I don't know if this is gonna maybe get more people to play them, but they are a more advanced set of racing because you have to take all these other variables into account. So I hope that clears up the issues. I know, again, Rockstar doesn't explain any of this stuff, so we kind of have to just figure it out on our own. And hopefully I explained it simply enough for you guys to understand. Now, that was like the one major change that they didn't mention. Going through some of the other minor changes. So this is what it looks like when the races start. It actually goes all red and you have to wait a second. I don't know if I like that. I would rather see like a green dot. I don't know why they didn't have like a green light to say go. When you damage your vehicles, you can see it actually like makes your whole screen go red and it starts beeping. And at the bottom left, that's the new icon. It'll show what your wheel condition are in and what part you were missing. So I'm missing the spoiler. You can actually change your tires now in the pit. So you just hit right on the D-pad and you can change between hard, medium, and soft. That's actually kind of cool. And then this is what it looks like when you start going backwards. Like almost the second you start going backwards, you just go completely passive mode. So you can't ruin anyone's race. So yeah, that is it with the video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. Thank you all for watching. Please drop a video like if you did enjoy. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.